All right, I'm gonna try to get this down in one go. See how we do. Sorry for bumping that. All right, so this is how you do your color wheels. First off, well, if you're doing the color wheel in class, I have this entire list for you here. When you have your color wheels, label them, because if I make the dumb mistakes of putting the wrong color in the wrong place when I don't label it, you probably will too. So I'm gonna go ahead and label all these three, and then we're gonna go ahead and start painting. So, got our red, red, orange, orange, yellow, orange, yellow, yellow, green, green, blue, green, blue, blue, violet, violet, red, violet. And same thing over here. Got that a little close there, my bad. But still, red, red, orange, orange, yellow, orange, yellow, yellow, green, green, blue, green, blue, blue, violet, violet, red, violet. And last but not least, still the red, and the red, orange, and the orange, yellow, orange, yellow, whoops, yellow, green, green, blue, green, blue, blue, violet, violet, and red, violet. Okay, so we got all those. I'm gonna start off by painting my cool set. So your cool set is these three, your alizarin crimson, lemon yellow, and phthalo blue. The warm set is your cadmium yellow or medium yellow, cadmium red, and ultramarine blue. Hopefully you can already see a difference between the two different color sets. They're going to create very different color wheels. And then we'll do the mixed one in a little bit. So, like I have said in class, before you start painting, whether it be acrylic or watercolor, always wet your brush. Fluffy brushes are not good for painting. So get those bristles stuck together. Dip your brush in the water, get out excess paint, and then go ahead. So we're just gonna go ahead and start. I need to get this over here because I'm gonna dip my hand in the paint, so if I keep it over there, that will not be good for me. I'm right-handed, so you know. All right, when you're painting, remember, always use pulling motions. Paintbrushes were not meant to be pushed. They were meant to be pulled. You can pull from different directions, but always use pulling motions. If you are using acrylic, do not water it down. Acrylic paint was not meant to be watered down. It is not watercolor. Don't treat it like watercolor. If you water down acrylic paint too much, the pigment will destabilize and it will separate from the binder, which is polymer, plastic. Not good. Okay, so always start with your primaries. Start with the ones you don't have to mix. So the red, yellow, and blue. Whoop. Try to stay inside the lines, whether they be lines that I printed or lines you made for yourself. This really helps you to increase your dexterity and your fine motor skills, which you need for painting and for drawing. So why not develop them now? Save yourself the trouble later. And then blue. And then, wipe your brush, clean it in the water. Now we're gonna go for our secondaries. Secondaries are orange, green, and violet. Always start off by mixing with the weaker pigment. So I'm gonna start my weaker pigment, which is yellow. Yellow is weaker than red. So I'm gonna get a little bit of yellow. I'm gonna slowly add a little bit of red. Going for a nice little carrot orange here. So that's not orange enough. I think a little bit more red. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, got my orange. Go ahead and paint that in. Next on to green. For this color set, we're going for a nice lime green. Once again, start with weaker pigment, which is yellow. Blue is the strongest pigment, and blue will quickly overwhelm yellow, so definitely start in by only adding a little bit at a time. Maybe just a tiny, tiny bit more. When you're painting, always try to keep the pigment up towards the bristles. You don't want it to get into the metal fernal part. That's really bad for the brush. That's how you ruin brushes, because paint gets up into the fernal, dries there, and pushes the bristles out. So basically don't paint like an awkward toddler, because you're in high school. You should be better than that by now. Okay, got our green. Clean the brush. And then violet. All right, so start with the weaker pigment, start with the red. And then add a little bit of blue. I think that's a little bit too dark for what I want to do, so I'm going to add a little bit more red. There we go, I think that's better. Yeah, that's a nice violet. All right, next up we're going to mix our tertiaries. Always start with the weaker color. So we're going to do the yellow, orange, and red, orange. Yellow, orange is weaker than red, orange because yellow is weaker than red. So I'm going to start off, actually I'm going to take a little chunk of this out so I can mix them separately. You can't always do this, but if you can, do it. It's easier. So I have a little chunk of orange, add a crap ton of yellow to it. Kind of going for a gross mac and cheese color. So if it looks like Kraft mac and cheese, you're on the right track. Now, when I'm grading these, I'm looking to make sure that you have the correct color progression and that no two colors are the same. If two colors look the same, it's wrong. Just flat out wrong. No two colors on your color wheel should be the same because they're all supposed to be different colors. Add a little bit of extra red to that orange I set aside. Add a little bit more. Let's see how that looks. If this doesn't look like enough of a difference, I can always add more and paint over it, but I think that'll work. All right, so you should be able to see a nice progression in the colors that I have here. While some are close to each other, no two colors are the same. All right, so next up, I'm gonna go for my greens. So I don't have enough green to split it, so I'll just add yellow to my green to make a yellow green. Start with the weaker one. And for this one, I'm going for a nice acid yellow, the kind, or sorry, not acid yellow, acid yellow green. So if it looks like it could melt your face off or kill you with one sip, that's the color green we're going for here. There we go. Yeah, I would not want to drink this color. And voila, yellow, yellow, green, green. Now we're gonna do the blue-green. So I'm gonna add a good chunk of my phthalo blue to here, and we're going for a nice teal, not turquoise. It should be darker than my green, but lighter than my blue. I think that's pretty good. Yeah. All right, now onto my red violet and my blue violet. I think I have enough of my violet here that I can split it. Just take a chunk and then work off of those. Be a little bit easier for color mixing. So I have my second little chunk here. I'm gonna add a good amount of extra red to that. To my red violet. I think I'm gonna add a little bit more. Just remember, like, it takes more red to overwhelm the blue than it does for the blue to overwhelm the red. Yeah, that's a nice difference. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay, next up and last up for this one anyways, blue violet. So I already have my violet over here. I'm just gonna add a little bit of extra blue. It'll end up being kind of like an indigo almost. Your blue violet, or like a navy blue. Your blue violet should be darker than your blue. And darker than your violet. Blue violet is like the darkest pigment. All right, got all those. So, moving on to my warm color set. So this time, I have a different set of primaries. And once I get the color wheels in, you'll really be able to see the difference. So let's start with the ones I don't have to mix, the red, the yellow, and the blue. So go ahead and start with your cadmium red. Cadmium red is kind of like an orangey red almost. Remember, use pulling motions, never push the brush. When you push the brush, you splay the bristles and you lose control. You won't get as nice of lines. So we got our red. Cadmium yellow, or medium yellow. And then our ultramarine blue. Okay, next up, same thing, let's do our secondaries. So let's do our orange, green, and violet. Good. So, I'm gonna start with the yellow, start with the weaker pigment. And we're gonna add a little bit of red. I think that's a pretty decent orange. All right, next up, green. This green will not be as pretty as the other green. I personally feel like the warm set is not as pretty as the cool set. And for the record, warm set because it has yellow undertones, blue, or cool set because it has blue undertones. How can blue have blue undertones? I don't know. Just how it's referred to as. But you can see like it's an orangey red because it has red undertones. It's like it's a bluish or a cool red because it has blue undertones. I feel like you can always really tell it in the reds. All right, what am I doing? Green. Once again, blue will easily overwhelm yellow, so go slow with that one. Okay, that's more like a yellow-green, so I need to add a little bit more blue. Nope, maybe not that much blue though. Maybe that much blue. I feel like I need to add a little bit more. There we go. That's better. Okay. I don't know why, but my ultramarine blue is really thin. I don't like that because it's not portraying the color correctly. It's like too much binder, not enough pigment. There we go. I'm just gonna paint it on thick so you can actually see the color it's supposed to be. And with that being said, I actually want to give my ultramarine blue another coat because the color that it is right now that you see is not an accurate representation of what the color should be. That's a bit better. Okay, next up, violet. Start with the weaker one, start with red. Take a lump. Add a little bit of blue. I just feel like this kind of violet is almost like a rusty violet. It's my least favorite violet, the worm set. I can add a little bit more. There we go. All right, next up are tertiaries, because a primary plus a secondary equals a tertiary. 1 plus 2 equals 3. So red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet, red, violet. I'm gonna start with the weaker one. Start with my yellow, orange. So I already have my orange up here. I don't know if I have enough. I can split it. So get another little chunk there. Add extra yellow. All right, then add a little extra red to my already existing orange. I'm not sure, that might have been too much red. Let's see here. I think that'll work. Yeah, that'll work. It's close, but not quite the same. As long as there's a visible difference, it's okay. So they're close, but I can tell a difference, they're not the same. All right, next up are yellow, green. I do have enough green to split it. Add a chunk of extra yellow to that. There we go. And now for our blue-green. I don't think that's enough blue. That's better. Actually, I think those are a little bit too close in pigment. Well, maybe let me just give it another coat since my blue is thin. There we go. Okay, that's good. Alright. Last but not least on this one, red violet and blue violet. So I got my violet. I do have enough to split that. Add a chunk more red. And then blue violet. Got my violet. Let's add a chunk more blue. And since my blue is thin, I got another coat. There we go. All right. So I got my cool set with my phthalo blue, alizarin crimson, and lemon yellow. And I have my warm set of cadmium red, ultramarine blue, and medium yellow or cadmium yellow. All right, I need to pause for a second and get more palette paper because I'm running out of room. And I need more paper towel because I used this one up. And I need new water. So, 1 second and then we will do the mixed primaries. All right, last but not least, we're gonna do our mixed primaries. So for this one, I get a new piece of paper to mix on. Can I put it there? Yeah. So we're gonna, before we start painting, we're going to first combine our two reds, combine our two yellows, and combine our two blues. I ran out of room on this sheet of palette paper, so I'm gonna use a new sheet. So, I'm just gonna use my palette knife for this one. So I'm gonna take the scoop of my blue, take the scoop of my blue, and mix those together for a mixed blue. So with a mixed blue, it is neither cool nor warm, it's a neutral blue. So it's both. Wow, I should not have used that much blue. Okay, let's do smaller for the next ones. All right, so yellow. Use about the same quantity of pigment. Luckily, I think that what I have is about the same. Oh, shoot. I still had blue on my palette knife, which has now contaminated my yellows. So let me just scrape that off to the side so I can still use it, but just not the contaminated bits. All right, note to self, clean palette knife better. All right, last but not least, let's mix these reds. It's got my alizarin crimson and my cadmium red. There we go. And now, just so that you can actually see a difference, or like see the difference, I want to write this out for you guys. So, let's see here. Cool, warm, mixed. So I think it's very important for you guys to be able to see the difference. So let me see if I can zoom in here. little bit better. Okay. So my cool blue is the phthalo blue, like that. My warm blue is the ultramarine blue, like that. And then my mixed blue is like that. And then I have my cool red, which is the alizarin crimson. My warm red, which is the cadmium red. Then I have my cool yellow, which is my lemon yellow. I really like lemon yellow. Let me try to shine some light on this a little bit better. Whoa.
Please excuse the interruption.
No.
There are no afternoon announcements. Have a great afternoon. You are dismissed.
My warm yellow is my cadmium yellow or medium yellow.
Major League Hefty, please report to the main office. Major League Hefty, report to the main office.
And then my mixed red. And then my mixed yellow. If you can't see a difference now, I'll take a picture, a close-up picture of these so you can actually see a difference between them. Okay. All right, on to our last color wheel set. So, let's move this off to the side. Let's start with our primaries, the ones we don't have to mix. Well, we had to mix them, but we already did that. So, go ahead and start with our mixed red. Mixed yellow. And then our mixed blue. All right, then we're gonna do our orange. Start with a weaker pigment. Start with the yellow. And then green. And then violet. I think it's a pretty good violet. All right, and then onto our tertiaries. All right, so let's start with our yellow-orange, our mixed yellow-orange. So I already got my orange. I don't think I have enough to split it, so I'm just gonna go ahead and add a bit of my mixed yellow to it. All right, and then let's do the red-orange. So add a little bit more of that mixed red. So remember, your mixed primaries, you're literally mixing your alizarin crimson and your cadmium red or whatever. You're mixing your cool and warm sets before you paint them. That's why it's called a mixed primary, because they're literally mixed. Pretty straightforward. Okay, so we got that. Yellow-green. Once again, I don't have enough green to split. So I'm just gonna mix in the yellow. Oop, a little bit more yellow. There we go. Now I need my blue-green. So add a little bit more blue. Try and go for a nice teal. And then our violets. Start with the red violet. Once again, I don't think I'm gonna have to split. Well, I probably do, but it's kind of like dried up some a little bit. There we go. Nice red violet. Ooh, that's a nice shade of it. I like that one. Remember, only use pulling motions. Paintbrushes were not meant for pushing, it's not a broom. And then our blue violets. I'm just gonna add a little bit extra blue to that. So it'll probably end up being like a nice little indigo or a nice like navy blue-ish. Oh yeah. That's a nice navy blue. All right. And there you have it. Our nice 3 color wheels. I will post a picture of this as well, as you can clearly see. Hopefully, actually, let me loosen the spring. There we go. So we have our nice cool set, our warm set, and then our mixed set. You may not notice a difference right now, but when I take a picture, you'll really be able to see the difference in these 3 colors. So make sure you're doing all 3. Look at the colors that I have written here to figure out what goes where. Thanks.